Hi everyone, welcome to the new RealTubes Mondays. I'm Rachel, and I'm going to start off my Mondays introducing myself, and then I'll talk about this week's topic, which is the high price of healthy foods. So, my name is Rachel, like I said, and I grew up in Littleton, Colorado, which is a suburb of Denver. Yes, it is where Columbine happened, though I didn't go to Columbine. That was quite a few miles away from where I actually grew up, but still in the same city. And I moved to Missouri for college. I go to University of Missouri-Columbia, otherwise known as Mizzou or MU, and I'm a journalism major and women's and gender studies minor. I like to read, I like to write. I write poetry and fiction, and I like to work out. I like to listen to music. I'm pretty much an introvert. I don't really like sports. But yeah, that's basically me. And I'll talk a little bit about my history as a plus size person, which is why we're all here. But, so I started gaining weight when I was probably 8 or 9 years old. And I think the problem was portion control. I was never taught portion control, and I would sneak food, and my parents didn't really know what to do. So I just kind of ate out of control. Not like crazy out of control, just too much, more than I should have been eating. And although I danced a little bit, I think at that point I was doing jazz and hip hop. I didn't really have a lot of physical activity. So I just started gaining weight, and I gained weight up until after high school. So, I think I didn't really recognize my overeating as emotional eating until after my mom died. You know, I thought I was, pretty much eating normally up until, I recognized that I had started binging after my mom died when I was 14. And, I'll tell you a story. When I was, I think I was in 6th grade, and I went to the doctor for a checkup because I had to have checkups every couple years because I had leukemia from ages 2 to 5. I went for a checkup, and they were concerned about my weight, and the doctor said, just stop gaining weight, Rachel, and in a couple years, everyone will catch up to you. I was like, sounds like a plan. Okay, I'll do it. I didn't know what to do. My mom kept badgering me about my weight and told me to lose weight and tried to get me to exercise, but I didn't know how to eat right. Through high school and even middle school, I just had no self-confidence, and I just hated myself. And I always thought, if I were skinny, or if I were this person, if I could just be pretty and skinny, that I would be happy. And it's not until recently that I just started realizing that I can be happy in my own body. No matter how my body looks, as long as I love who I am, and as long as I do things that make me happy and healthy, then I'm just fine. And I'm happy in my own body, in my own skin, and I can be happy. The summer before I came to college, it got really bad, and I just started binging like crazy because I got a car, and I could just go and buy and eat whatever I wanted. And then I came to college, and I was really depressed because of my self-image. And I started working out because it was really convenient to go to the gym. I went to the gym, and I did work out when I came to college. But that was out of self-hate, I worked out because I hated myself. And the way it should be is you should work out because you love yourself and you respect your body and you want to do right by your body. But, so I lost about 40 to 45 pounds my first semester. That would be fall of 2007, but I was still really depressed. And I started to self-injure, and I did have a cutting problem for quite a few months. And my family finally figured out what was going on, and they encouraged me to see a therapist, and I did my second semester, and that helped a little bit. I went to a couple sessions, and finally last summer I did stop cutting, and maybe later I'll get to talk about self-injury and how that plays into your self-image and things like that, but right now I don't really want to get into that too much. But starting last semester, I was still depressed after the summer, but I got a work-study job at the Women's Center, and I think that's really helped me to love myself and accept myself more, because it's just such a great community of feminists, and they're these men and women who are so secure with themselves that they can be secure with me, and I definitely feel like I can be myself and just completely love myself around these people. You know, I also attribute, you know, my shift in positive in attitude to loving myself to, you know, just getting to know myself and getting to know my body and what it can do, and just, you know, writing more, you know, writing poetry and writing fiction can really be a great outlet, for me at least. And so yeah, I'm definitely well on my way of loving myself, and I just want to kind of share my experience and your experiences here on RealTubes. So that's basically enough about me. So I'll talk about this week's topic, which is the high price of healthy foods. And I think it's basically self-explanatory, explanatory, but I can't really talk too much about it, I guess, because I'm sort of in my own little bubble right here. Because I do live in the dorms, and I go to the dining halls to eat, and I pay an upfront fee per semester, and then I just go to the dining hall, and there are a lot of choices, and I choose what I want. And sometimes I choose bad things, sometimes I choose good things, but I don't actually pay for things up front, so I don't really recognize that relationship between high price and healthy foods, because the money it's already all paid for, and I don't, you know, I'm not directly affected by the relationship of healthy foods with high prices. So I don't have much input on this, but I did find something in my anthropology book, which is ironic because I hate that class so much, but I found something that I wanted to read to everyone, so it's just a couple sentences. Here goes. The reasons for the increase, meaning increases in obesity in the U.S., are complex, but they basically boil down to the increased ability to produce inexpensive food, most of which is high in fat, and advances in transportation technology, which provides greater access to cheap food sources. More and more people, in other words, are expending less and less energy to consume a poor diet rich in calories and low in micronutrients. I think that really sums it up really nicely. People who aren't as privileged, aren't as fortunate, don't have enough money, are absolutely more likely to buy the foods that are not healthy. You know, the 99-cent boxes of macaroni and cheese, and the 89-cent loaves of white bread, and the, you know, store brand, just crappy, overprocessed food that just isn't good for you. And it's not only about the money, it's also learned habits. Like, for generations, people who are underprivileged, you know, in poor communities, have learned by their families, from their families, to buy these foods that are really not good. And it's just definitely a learned thing. It's partially learned, but it's mostly in part to, you know, to income. Absolutely, it has to do with income. And the lower your income, the more likely you are to buy the cheap foods. And at risk of sounding like a socialist commie, I really think that, you know, the government should definitely have an input on this, should try to make healthier foods more available to low-income people. That's basically what I have to say about myself and about the topic for this week, but I'm definitely looking forward to next week. Leave comments and rate the video, and if you have any questions, you can send me a message or leave comments on my profile, which is rkpm89. rkpost89, excuse me. I'll leave a link in the sidebar to that, and yeah, I'm looking forward to having fun with RealTubes and sharing my opinions and getting to know the other girls' opinions. So should be great. See ya. I'm such a fucking nerd. Okay, bye.